wirklich, du bist wichtig. Wirklich wichtiger als ich. Denkst du wirklich, du bist wichtig? Vielleicht doch, vielleicht auch nicht.
Greetings everybody, welcome back to Jakim Cigar Channel. I'm Jakim and I'm sitting here in Brooklyn, New York, here at Brooklyn Smokes with the lovely Denise of Brooklyn Smokes. And today we're going to be talking about cigars, cigar culture, and just kicking back and having a conversation about that legal weed, cigars, tobacco, all that good stuff. All right, so we'll be right back in a few moments. Hey everybody, it's Jakim Cigar Channel, and this is my cigar shop and lounge edition. I'm sitting here in Brooklyn at Brooklyn Smokes with the lovely Denise, and I'm gonna be talking to her about all things cigars today. Denise, how long have you been a cigar enthusiast? How long have you been smoking cigars?
It's been about 10 years.
Okay.
Smoking cigars, yeah. I kind of fell into it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, all right, now I guess that's a good thing. What actually steered you in this direction?
I'm the administrator for another club called the Borough, and their members, they have their cigars and they're always smoking cigars, and I like to be able to offer membership everything that they need when they need it. And oftentimes I was getting questions about cigars. And I mean, I had cheat sheets, notes about what every cigar was.
Right.
And then there was one member that always came in. He would sit on the couch by himself, and he loved his cigar. He would just sit there by himself and,
right,
like it was the best thing in the world. And I'm like, oh my God, like what is going on here?
Right.
And that's when I started smoking.
Right.
And my excuse was, because at the time it's always like, smoking's bad for you, you can't smoke. But I was just like, well, this is for work. This is important research that I'm doing here. I need to be able to tell members what they're getting.
Right. And be authentic, right? You want to be more authentic, right?
And that's how it all started.
Wow, that's funny. That's funny. Well, it actually helps you because instead of having to go through only your cheat sheets, you actually speak from experience.
Right.
So that was a plus in your department. So overall, from then till now, have you enjoyed your cigar experience?
Tremendously. I mean, initially, again, when I started out, my argument was, I'm smoking for research.
Right.
I had a lot of books. I watched videos. I took notes. I would save the ring from every cigar, take notes on what I liked about it, what I didn't like, what I would change.
Right.
And it's funny because all of that, I had, books with like notes on every single cigar I had. And then after a while, it just felt like I'm spending so much money on cigars. And I didn't like the inconsistency. I didn't like getting those big name brands and not enjoying the cigar. And realized, I turned to Kirk and I said, I only really like your cigars.
Wow.
They're the only ones that are consistent. I know that I'm gonna get a good smoke every time I smoke it. And I like these cigars. And that sort of, transitioned into Brooklyn Smokes. Because then it was like, well, here's what I want in a cigar.
Right.
And we sat down and we talked about my line and what, kind of tobacco I wanted in there, and, rolled a few sample batches and really were able to figure out, what was enjoyable for me.
Wow, that's amazing. I have to give Brooklyn Smokes a special shout out because Brooklyn Smokes, for those that don't know, actually helped me get through my 9-month deployment in Kuwait. So they were a big part of my relaxation when I was off duty out there. So I always have to give a special shout out to Brooklyn Smokes. You guys will always hold a special place in my love of cigars. I truly appreciate that. Shouts out to Cadiz, yourself. I mean, I can name a couple of my favorites from Brooklyn Smokes, but I'm gonna have you get into actually the blends that you guys have. You work on what blends do you work on in Brooklyn Smokes?
My particular line, the Macus line, started out with 3 cigars. Macus which was a little robust. Yeah, it's a real strong Maduro smoke.
That fuerte. I hear you.
And then the Trifina, which I absolutely love.
Yes.
That's a nice, light, easy smoke with a cup of coffee in the morning.
I do love the Trifina. It's very good.
And I had a V5, which was a short story kind of smoke. It was really good.
Right.
Right now, the Trifina has lasted and has endured, and it's a good smoke.
Yeah, absolutely is. It absolutely is. So your experience on the production side, so coming from just the being an enthusiast or somebody that this partakes of, that transition to producing, was that a hard transition?
Not at all. I think I'm that way with everything. Thanksgiving was yesterday, and people ask, well, what are you cooking? It's like, well, I'm cooking what I like to eat, and if you want to have some, then it's all good. Right. So I like having my cigars, and even if, no one else is going to enjoy it, I like having a good time with what I'm smoking.
Right. Let me ask you this. There are a lot more women involved in cigars these days, especially a lot more women cigar enthusiasts. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think has driven that? And I'll let you answer that first, but then, is this a passing fancy, or is this a trend that you think is going to have longevity as the years ahead for the cigar industry?
I think that women have always smoked, and they're always on the sidelines, right? Because it's not a feminine thing to do. And then, of course, just there are just always going to be those women who just don't care, and they're just going to do what they want to do and enjoy themselves, and it's going to be all right. I don't think it's a passing fancy. Okay. I think that, people love cigars. How can you not?
Right.
And more people will, especially if you're a smoker already.
Right, exactly. So the obvious happened in the year 2020, right? We had COVID. Again, I was stuck overseas, and I was watching, things happen via social media and the news. And there were the events that were supposed to be planned for cigars, like cigar festivals and things like that. And a lot of that didn't happen. Then we come back into 2021, things, started picking up again, little by little. Do you think, how did COVID affect the cigar industry, and just in your understanding? How did it affect the cigar industry?
From my experience, once I realized lockdown was happening, I immediately went to the liquor store and a cigar shop, and I had to stock. So I just assumed that, people really thought about comfort and relaxing and, things that'll take away the stress. And I think more people became interested in cigars and smoking and having just a nice, relaxing time. Right. Not big, huge parties. Right. And that's what it became for me, sitting at home, smoking with a drink, and, you're good to go. Right. Of course, now it's great that everything is reopening, and, more people are getting into it, and, I like that it's so relative. You do what works for you. Right. There are those that are, going to smoke 10 sticks a day. You don't have to. You do what works for you, and you enjoy what works for you. I remember early on, I really liked dipping, and I introduced it to women that came into the club who wanted to smoke but were intimidated by it. And it's there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just be you, and you're going to have a good time. Right, exactly.
Were prices affected?
Definitely. Yeah. And especially with, first of all, we were getting taxed, long before this happened.
Right, exactly.
Of course, you know.
I have my personal feelings about that, but like, yeah, you know, go ahead.
Right? The taxes came about. They were trying to say we need to be healthier, and you know, you all are children, and I'm going to police you and help you.
Right.
They wanted to do the sugar tax, tobacco tax, and the tobacco tax, like it went. You know, so now I feel like they're just rolling with it.
Right.
Now it's like, how much more can we get?
Right.
Type of an attitude, as opposed to we care about your health and we don't, you know, want you smoking.
Right.
Now it's just like, we need money to, you know, do whatever we want to do. So let's tax you up. And then, I mean, now with COVID and, you know, you can't get things shipped to you. Of course, now that's tough, you know, trying to get tobacco, waiting for tobacco, and all of that. So.
Okay, all right. I tell you what, let's take a quick pause, and I want to come back with your thoughts on the resurgence of cigars. We seem to be living in a cigar renaissance, so let's talk about that in a few minutes. Jakim Cigar General, we'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Jakim. We're back. I am here in Brooklyn at Brooklyn Smokes, and before the break, I was going to ask Denise about the cigar renaissance that we're experiencing right now. However, I want to get, before she answers that question, I want to introduce Cadiz. He is one of the rollers here at Brooklyn Smokes, so he has joined us in the conversation, and he'll be speaking momentarily. Denise, what are your thoughts on the cigar renaissance? We're seeing a resurgence of the love of tobacco and cigars. What do you think is driving that? Or, yeah, what do you think is driving that?
Again, I think it's, you know, everyone being forced inside this pandemic and then needing a means of release. You know, I think, and this is the best way to do it. You know, a nice bourbon and a cigar.
I agree.
It's the best way to do it.
I agree. Something that I have been thinking on in my own mind and wanting to ask others, especially those that are so viable in the industry, producers in the industry, right? So it's one thing to be a consumer, it's another thing to produce. You get to see things on the other side of the coin, if you will. The trends that are happening right now, Cadiz, in cigars, what are you noticing? What are you seeing? What are some of the things, some of the positives? And then what are some of the things that you, if you could, would want to change about cigars right now? Because a lot of people are involved in the cigar world, a lot of people are interested, but there are some trends that are, you know, it's what I would want to call cigar purists, and then there's some other stuff going on.
Right.
Could you speak to that?
All right, so let me just say that cigar smoking it's an art. There's an art to cigar smoking. You have to understand the construction of your cigar. You have to have the proper tools to actually begin to smoke. These tools are very important. A lot of people light their cigars with butane lighters, which is really not the way you light a cigar. You should actually use a cedar match. But what happened with cigar smoking is it brings out all the artistry of other things, right? It's about enjoyment and contemplation. So cigar smokers usually are artists in other forms, and this just captivates and harmonizes everything for them. So in that regard, cigar smoking is like going to a museum, a gallery, a fine restaurant, and captivating the end of that meal with the flavor that you get from a cigar. It's like having that last drink at a meal. Because we've gone into this pandemic, and because cigar smoking is always looked at as this rich culture, which it is very rich, it's reached into hands of individuals that kind of have brought it a step down in some periods. And that step down, they've commercialized cigar smoking to a degree.
Okay.
And that commercialization of cigars has changed the culture of cigar smoking, where we had a finely dressed individual, because attire goes with cigars.
Right.
Locations go with cigars, and all the restrictions that we've suffered, especially here in New York and in Brooklyn, that has pushed people into, like, cigar smoking has permeated into different industries that have turned it into folly. So I don't particularly care for the folly, and so what I try to do is always educate anybody who smokes a cigar from Brooklyn Smokes about what it is to smoke this cigar, what mentality that you should possess in smoking it. It's not about flossing. It's about actual enjoyment of the tobacco flavors that you can get. And what I don't like about what's happening with that is that I'd say 80% of the people don't know what they're smoking.
I would agree with that.
They don't have any idea. They really can't tell one cigar to the other, except for now we're looking at boldness coming into the cigar. And that boldness is this very rich, full-bodied, almost get high type of tobacco. That's not what cigar smoking is about. Cigar smoking is about the ease, like Denise said earlier. It's about that relaxation. It's about doing what you want to do and having that moment where you can just relax.
Right.
Enjoy a great conversation. Enjoy a game of chess. So that's what's going on. That, you know, we have ebbs and flows in everything.
Right.
And I'm here to protect the culture that I represent.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not to knock anybody else. And, you know, some of the things that I may not like doesn't mean I oppose it. It means that it's just not for me.
Right.
And not for the individuals that smoke at Brooklyn Smokes. It's about that celebration, the celebration of having a cigar.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's profound. That's extremely profound. And I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. I think it's very important that we understand everything in the culture is not necessarily cigar purists. With, you know, I don't like to point fingers or anything like that, but there's some people that oppose, that just pose, right? That are just posers. They're not really purists, you know, and that's cool if they want to do that. But there are those of us that, for lack of a better term, take cigar enjoyment seriously.
Very serious.
You know, so, and I'm one of those people, and that's why I can appreciate that comment. If you can, share with us what you and Denise are puffing on right now and enjoying right now.
Well, this is like a signature. This is one of our signature cigars. It's called the Rhino.
Rhino.
Yeah, and it's become extremely popular. We didn't think it was going to take on the popularity that it did. And everything that we do has a tie-in. So the Rhino is one of my favorite animals. And so when I thought of the construction of a Rhino, you know, I think I was looking at a karate movie at the time. And, you know, the guy's doing the praying mantis, and his movements reflect the praying mantis. Well, this cigar reflects the Rhino. The Rhino has two horns. The first horn of the Rhino is to draw you in. It's a light flavor because it's such a long smoke. It can be, for some people, 2 hours. So just to draw you in and not beat you up and overpower you in the beginning of the cigar, right? The second part, it transitions. So now we have a transition of tobaccos. It's called tethering or laying, right? And you lay a different layer of tobacco in, and now you get a better flavor. It's meant for you now to say, you know what, maybe there's a libation I want to enjoy with this portion of the cigar. And then in completing that, the back end, which is the second horn of the Rhino, excuse me, it draws you into just straight flavor. So now you've completely melded the libation or tea or coffee into this wonderful palette of flavor. But this is something that you really have to, this is again the contemplation, so that you can't, you know, there's times where I'm rolling and I'm smoking and you miss that.
Right.
You know, you're watching a game and you're smoking a cigar, And if you're into the cigar, you may get it or you may not. But if you take a pause, you'll get that. You'll get that. You take that moment, you'll get that.
Fantastic. Denise, what would be one of your favorite pairings with the Rhino? And by the way, the Rhino was one of the ones that you sent to me out in Kuwait, and I loved it, fell in love with it. One of my favorites from the Brooklyn Smokes camp. So I enjoy the Rhino myself. But Denise, what would be one of your favorite pairings with the Rhino?
I like liquor. So it's really hard to choose. I like a blended Scotch whiskey or Irish whiskey. I love Bushmills.
Okay.
You know, I can drink that all day. Woodford Reserve goes good with this. Bullet. I mean, there's you can't really go wrong.
Okay. Fair enough. Would you share with the subscribers where they can pick the Rhino up at?
All right, so you can go to our Instagram page. Just let me just say this. So Brooklyn Smokes is not there's a term I really despise. There's one term I don't like, and that is boutique cigars. I don't know what that means. I'm still struggling to try to understand it, but I have to respect it because it's a term that's used and it's identifiable. We at Brooklyn Smokes, we're cigar tailors.
I like that.
We're tailors. We tailor a cigar. So you can find our cigars at Brooklyn Smokes on Instagram. I will give this brother, Jakim, our information further. We do have a website. It's Brooklyn Smoke Cigars at gmail.com. But most of our orders come in through Instagram or through direct contact. I like to know who's smoking the cigar. I like to, the same way I try to explain to the staff and my partners, is that we touch every cigar to make sure that there's a certain level of quality. All right?
Absolutely.
And so I want to make sure that I'm reaching quality smokers as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate you spending the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're a very busy man. And Denise, I appreciate you sitting with me and sharing your thoughts. Once again, this is Cadiz. I want to call him a master roller. He might not like that, but I'm gonna call him a master roller because he masterfully rolls these cigars. All right. So I want to say that, and we talk from time to time. It's always a pleasure. And if you have any closing thoughts before we get out of here, or Cadiz, I'll start with you, Denise. Any closing thoughts that you're going to share to the cigar enthusiasts out there?
I'd like to really thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure meeting you and sitting down and talking with you. It's been great.
I appreciate it.
Closing thoughts for, I think that, someone coming in, just trying it out, just relax and, do what works for them. And it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to be a newbie. And that's the only way to enjoy it, right? Because what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you.
Absolutely. Cadiz, any closing thoughts, my brother?
Well, I don't like doing a lot of talking. But I just want to thank you again.
I thank you, sir.
And I hope that even if you have a question about any other cigar outside of our brand, cigar smoking is a community. Yeah. And when you say community, there are no bad questions. There pretty much isn't a bad cigar. If you like the cigar, that's the cigar you like. If it happens not to be a Brooklyn Smoke cigar, that's what happens. But it's not to say that we can't try to construct one for you. So that's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to thank both of you. Guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, Jakim Cigar Journal. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview here at Brooklyn Smokes with Cadiz and Denise. Hit the notification bell so you're notified of all my upcoming videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. This has been my Cigar Shop and Lounge series, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Jakim, I'm signing out. Peace, and don't forget, smoke what you like. Hey everybody, it's Jakim Cigar Journal, and again, I'm sitting here with Denise from Brooklyn Smokes, and this is my Cigar Shop and Lounge edition. We're in Brooklyn, New York, at the Brooklyn Smoke Shop. Denise, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Sorry.